What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Ghouls Gaming and Tech channel. We have another video today. Just like I told you guys in my last video, we just got the Asus ROG Strix monitor. This is the true black glossy monitor, and in particular, if you want the actual model number, this is the Asus ROG Strix XG27AQDMES. We're going to go into the best settings just so you guys can kind of know how you want to tweak the settings a little bit to give you that best gaming experience. Now, these can change depending on if you hook it up to an Xbox, PC, Nintendo Switch, PS5 Pro, for example. Most of these general settings will apply across the board, but when you get the PC, that's when you really get the meat and potatoes of everything. But for today, we're gonna use this on a PS5 Pro so you guys can kind of see what that looks like with the HDR settings, so on and so forth. So if you guys are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and if you're new or returning, be sure to hit that like button. It's definitely appreciated. It's the best way that I and YouTube knows you guys enjoy these type of videos. And also, if you'd like to become a member, feel free to do so. All right, so without any further ado, let's hop into it. All right, you guys, so we are here in the settings right here. So all you have to do is click the button on the bottom of the display. It's all the way in the back. One weird thing that I instantly thought about this monitor in particular is that it said it was a 2K resolution, 1440p, but as you can see right here, this shows 3840 by 2160. That's a 4K resolution. So I'm not sure why it's doing that, but hey, I will take the extra resolution if it's going to give me that. Again, I have it hooked up to the PS5 Pro, so I don't know if that factors into it, and right now it's running in the 60 Hertz. You will see the ROG Strix and the model number right here. You see what game mode I have it. It says game visual racing mode, and it says input HDMI 1 and HDR is set to gaming right here. So first option right here is the gaming option. Now if you scan this, if you're running it on PC, there's basically a widget app or widget center that you can kind of customize it a little further, definitely if you're running it on PC, but we're not going to get too complicated with this setup. When I get my PC build, I will do it for the PC. Right here under gaming options, you see variable refresh rate. Those of you who don't know, obviously you want that on. If your console or whatever you're hooking up supports variable refresh rate, I would highly recommend taking this right here. Variable refresh rate, and then game plus right here. You have an FPS counter. I'm not a big fan of FPS being on. I don't really, unless I'm testing a game, I don't want to see it all the time. So the FPS counter, I will leave that off for now. But if you so happen to be testing anything, yes, turn that off. You can also have this little bar graph right here. You have your crosshairs. Again, I don't run with a crosshair on the game. I do play a lot of FPS type of games, like whether it be Call of Duty, mainly Call of Duty, Fortnite, and whatever else you're playing. It just puts another, display on your screen while you're playing, like another crosshair in the middle, just to help with like aiming and stuff. But I find that I don't particularly need that. I think I shoot pretty straight enough. And then you have a timer right here. This is just, for your monitor to shut off. I don't need this on, and I suggest you guys not put it on because you're gonna game however long you're gonna game. You don't need your monitor telling you to get off. Unless you're a parent and you need this for your kid, that is the only scenario where I would say to use this. Then you have a stopwatch right here, and you have a display alignment. And some of these options you will see are grayed out. So these are going to change depending on what you have hooked up to your monitor. So if I hook this up to my Nintendo Switch, it's going to change what I'm able to change. So I can't sit here and do it for every single thing. That's why I'm just going over the general settings, because if I hook it up to a PC versus an Xbox, PS5 Pro, Nintendo Switch, Wii, whatever you can think of, it's going to change some of those options. Even if you have like, video players hooked up like a DVD or Blu-ray player, it's going to change all that stuff. So just keep that in mind. If you see some stuff grayed out, it's because those options are available for certain things that are hooked up to it. So let's go down right here to image. We have image right here. And then brightness. So a lot of people are worried about burnout with monitors in general, and I put my brightness on 100. I'm never playing long enough to actually experience burnout with my display, with my monitor right here. So I don't mind having my brightness on 100 because I want the image to look as clear and as crisp as possible while I'm playing it. I probably game on average on a regular day, maybe 1 to 2, maybe 2.5 hours. And if I have a day that I can actually fully game, then maybe I'm playing for about
4 or 5 hours at a time, maybe. You won't experience that unless you leave your display on all the time or in standby mode or whatever the case is. Then you have uniform brightness. I don't recommend turning that on because it's just going to basically default your screen to a particular brightness, and I'd rather, you know, set it myself. And then right here, you have contrast. I believe it comes on at 80 by default. But I kicked it up to 90 a bit because it just makes for the image to be a little bit richer. The colors pop a little bit more, and I find that this makes the true black glossy really stand out a little bit more. Then you have your HDR settings right here. So you have adjustable HDR is set to on, but aside from that, I have it in gaming HDR mode right here. So cinema HDR and console HDR, it kind of washes out the colors a little bit, and I find that gaming HDR makes everything look the richest, so that's what I went with. You have your aspect control right here. You can kind of mess with those a little bit if you want to. 16 by 9, that's the default, that's what this monitor is going to give you. But if you want to go in there and mess with that, you can mess with that, but I won't be doing that. And then you can mess with the square aspect ratio as well. And then vivid pixel right here. So I think this comes default on like maybe 60 or 70. I, again, kicked it up to 100 because this is a 27-inch display. You can pack in a lot of rich imagery in this, and you can pack in a lot of pixels, and I want those pixels to be vivid as possible. So my other Asus monitor, I have that vivid pixel all the way up on 100 as well. I haven't had any issue. It doesn't throw the image off at all. It doesn't make it look weird or anything. So vivid pixel at 100, you will not have issues, for those of you who are wondering if you'll have issues. So let's go down to color. So you have color temperature right here. You have a lot of different options right here. I believe it comes default on 6500. I would recommend leaving it there because everything else, again, it just kind of washes out the image and it will make it look more cooler versus warmer. That's what this color temperature is. So you can customize it yourself under user, but it can get a little wonky with the settings, and then you might end up tweaking it a little bit more. So I would just recommend leaving it on that 6500. And then saturation, it comes default on 50, and I upped this to 55. Just again, I didn't want to do it too much like the contrast, because I believe that I made the contrast go up 10. I only made this go up 5 because I don't want this to be too saturated or too contrasty, and then the image just looks cartoonish or fake. So that's why I only raised that up to 55. And then you have these right here. You can individually mess with, you know, the red, greens, blues, and all that stuff. Now you have your OLED care. So as you can see, you have screen saver. It says screen dimming control, outer dimming control, and then global dimming control. I just left this all on. And then you have a pixel cleaning reminder. I set it to 8 hours because I don't want that thing constantly popping up. Say I'm playing for about 4 hours. I don't want it to pop up at 2 hours and then 4 hours. If I turn it off, sure, maybe. But I want it on 8 hours because it's a cumulative 8 hours. It's not if you're playing for 8 hours, it's a cumulative 8 hours. So if you play 2 hours here, 2 hours there, 4 hours there, then it will let you know at that 8 hour mark, hey, you should probably clean your pixels. So that's why I set it to that. Right here, you have screen move. I just left that at middle. Auto logo brightness. This is just, it won't really affect your day-to-day gaming or anything like that. So I just left this all on default. Again, that's just the brightness. And then this Neo proximity sensor. Now this is a pretty cool feature if you guys are interested in using it. I don't necessarily want to do it because I have people walking past this thing all the time, so I don't want it to constantly be going off thinking, oh, they're trying to sit down and play. But basically this will detect if you're near the monitor in close proximity to it. It will know, hey, somebody is trying to interact with it, and then it will auto start or turn the monitor on. That is a pretty cool feature. So if you like that, you can turn it on, but I just have mine off. And then your input settings, I left this at auto input detection. So, you know, if you hook it up to the HDMI 1 or 2, it will let you know, or the display port. So auto detection is best because if you happen to change out what you're using this on, it will automatically switch to that instead of you having to manually go in here and switch to that. And then you have favorites right here. You can make a shortcut for whatever. So if I click this little thing that I'm tapping down here, which is right behind the Asus ROG logo, if you click it left, right, up, down, you can set shortcuts for it to do. So Right here, if I click over, it'll go to the Game Plus mode right there. You can see game visual, mute, shadow boost. I mean, you can make it do pretty much whatever you want. And then you have customized settings. You can click save. So this one in particular, I can save it. Then you have your languages. Again, default to English. I turned my volume all the way up to 100 because I think it doesn't come on 100. I think it comes on like 80. Power indicator, that is your ROG light at the bottom of the monitor. So turn it on, turn it off, but I want mine on. Power key lock off, power settings. It's on performance mode. I don't want to put it on power saving mode because it's going to change some of my display settings. And it's plugged up into an outlet, so it's not like the battery in the monitor is going to die. There's no battery, it's hooked up to an outlet. So that's that. And then always on display, I put this in the middle, as you can see. And then my screen timeout, I set it to 100 minutes. I believe this is minutes. And then the transparency of this, I put it on 0 because it looks weird anything outside from 0. So that's just me. All right, so those are the best settings. So now we're going to hop into a game or two just so you guys can see what that looks like. And this is what we are looking at right here. Those of you who don't know, this game was recently remastered, or however you want to look at it, for the PS5 Pro or just for current gen consoles, but it was PS5 Pro Enhanced. But just so you guys can see really quick, this option, or the graphic options that I have this in, the graphics mode right now is in balance, so it is attempt to balance visual fidelity with frame rate, only available on displays that are compatible with 120 Hz refresh rate, which this one is, and a frame rate targets 40 FPS. So if I click this right here, you see it says 120 Hertz, and it says it targets 40 FPS. So if you do want to turn on your FPS counter, then you can do that for this one in particular, Game Plus FPS counter, and we can turn this number on. You can see it's at 120. So let's get out of there. We don't need to save that really quick. But let's get out of there so you guys can see that it will stay at this locked 120. And the image looks great. I mean, like I said, boosting the saturation a little bit, so it's going to affect how your game looks as well. Your game settings is one thing, and then your monitor settings is another. So this game already looked amazing, looked very rich. I don't see any popping or any tearing or anything like that. Like I said, the lighting looks amazing in this game. The contrast and the saturation that I adjusted to, it did it slightly enough that it definitely gives the overall image a nice little boost, but it doesn't take away too much from the image in the sense of I'm changing what they intended for this game to look like. I'm just adding to it a little bit, but you can see this water looks amazing. So obviously, partially because of how they enhanced the game, but also because of what I'm playing on as well. Let's dive down right here. See the wetness on the uniform, everything just looks so rich into color. You guys can be the judge. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, kind of how this looks. So we're going to hop into like Call of Duty to see how that runs on an actual game that really pushes the frame rate. All right, so we're in this game. Let's switch our gun really quick. So just keep a close watch on the hertz at the top of the screen. I don't have my headphones in, so do not expect this game to be amazing. I usually play this with my headphones. Oh, there's one right here. Boom. But yeah, it's holding pretty steady. I like the 120. It's pretty smooth. Not having any issues with it. It just popped to 117. He's running from me. Where'd he go? Got him. They're holding up pretty well. Oh, we died. They're coming. Oh my God. All right, that's all we wanted. That's all we wanted. Let's get out of here.
All right, you guys, so that is the best settings for this Asus ROG Strix monitor. Again, this is the 27-inch. The links for all this will be in the description below if you guys want to pick this up, but hopefully these settings helped you guys out. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I want to make this video short and sweet just to kind of get you guys to point A to point B really quick. But yeah, love you guys. Thank you for tuning in as always. We'll be coming back with more videos. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Peace.